G'day guys, welcome to this episode of AskJackD. Today we are coming live from TEDx at Macquarie Uni, and I answer a question around a discussion we had recently around focus. What do we do? Sure, Jack, I get we need to focus on one thing and try and become the best in the world at it. What do we do before we know what our one thing is? Angela, thank you for the question. Let's roll the episode.
I'm here doing God's work. On a mission, had to listen and just observe on the world stage. This life is.
G'day guys, welcome to this episode of AskJackD. Today we are at TEDxMacquarie Uni, where I've just spoken to 500 people about the changing nature of education, what's being taught at universities, and does it correspond to what actually goes on in the real world. Angela watched yesterday's episode. It wasn't yesterday's episode, it was an episode from a while ago that we reposted yesterday. Around focus, and she came up to me afterwards in the audience here at TEDx and asked this question.
Hey Jack D, I just have a question. We're at TEDx and I wanted to, just saw your talk and I wanted to ask about a speech that I heard you say yesterday, actually about focus, finding one thing that you're passionate about and following it vigorously and to the extent that you'd be tortured for it. But what about before that? What about the stage before you find the one thing that you want to focus on? How do you find it? And how many stages did you go through before you found yours? Thanks.
Angela, really, really good question. And I should have mentioned this in our original video around focus. Here's the thing. Initially, we go through an exploration phase, right? So what I spoke about in that video is pick one thing and become the best in the world at it. What I didn't say is that pre that, like if you're still a student and you're still sort of figuring out what it is you want to do, you probably need to do bits and pieces of a whole bunch of different stuff in a whole bunch of different industries with a whole bunch of different people, maybe, right? Some people will know it straight away, some people won't. And if you don't, then I think it comes down to two things. Number one is self-exploration. You need to go within. You need to think, what are my strengths? What do I enjoy? What's the kind of, am I creative or am I analytical or am I both? Do I love people or do I hate people? Do I want to be around people or do I want to be in a cabin somewhere not talking to anyone, right? Like, what kind of style of work do you enjoy? What are you good at? What are your weaknesses? And therefore, from that, you will have a bit of a base to start, basing some decisions on. The second thing, second is self-exploration, is exploration, right, of the real world, which is what I said earlier in terms of exploring, going in, work for different businesses, meet different people. If you're an entrepreneur, go and meet different entrepreneurs from different industries and get an insight into that particular industry. But explore yourself and explore the world. Angela, I can tell you've watched a few videos just by your language around what you mentioned around torture. I think it was Socrates that said, passion is about picking what you're happy to be tortured for, right? When we find our passion and when we live a life that aligns to purpose, not every day is rosy, right? It's not like we found our passion, we found our purpose, now life's easy and we're always happy and everything's great. It's actually quite the opposite. There's another side to being somebody with a dream, which is we're pursuing a path, there's not much of a roadmap, there's not much of a strategy, we might not even have much direction, we're constantly comparing ourselves to the person that we're not yet in terms of the vision of who we want to become. It's hard, right? But whether we live with passion and on purpose or not, the path will be difficult. The path will be challenging. When it comes to finding your passion, finding your path, finding your purpose, we do it so that the difficulty is worth it, so that the challenge means something because we're building something that is important to us, meaningful to the world, and therefore we're contributing, right? So have that exploration phase. Give yourself that time and that space, and if you want to go to different countries and travel the world and whatever you need to do, keep exploring until you know what it is you want to do to a degree, and then commit to it, right? And try and become the best in the world at one thing when you know what your one thing is.